beyond self-sabotage and ways to create a new habit to rewire your brain. Hi there everyone, my name is Helenique Argeru, clinical psychologist for 20 years and now a peak performance trainer. Fascinated by neuroscience, I delved into the area and explored many interesting, amazing things about the brain, and I'm going to share something really profound with you today. Actually, it's a process that explains how you get out of a bad habit and build a new one on a neuroscientific level. So first of all, neuroplasticity is really about rewiring your brain. It's really telling us that it's possible to actually change the way your brain, my brain, anyone's brain operates and functions if you do very specific things. And this increases the neuroplasticity of your brain. In other words, this allows your brain to change. When you change certain thoughts and you apply certain behaviors, you actually are increasing and using this flexible, adjustable nature of your brain that we call neuroplasticity. Now, the one secret to doing this is reward. You need to give yourself a positive reward when you change your behavior. And it must be something healthy, something that is not hurting anybody or hurting you in any other way. And it must also be something that you repeat consistently. I know that in order to learn a new word in your vocabulary, or even when you're learning a new language, right, you do need to practice that language, that word for 7 times. You have to repeat it at least 7 times before you can plant it into long-term memory. Pretty much the same here with behavior. We need to practice new behavior many times. I say 7 times to my clients and colleagues is really what it takes in order to plant down a new behavior, but you must link it to a positive reward. This is also something that a really great writer called Donald Smith, an MD, has actually said about the brain, is that it's all about creating this positive reward. Now, let me take you through the 6-step process, which is actually explaining how we get past very destructive behaviors or bad habits, things that are really not good for us that we continue to do. We have to set up a very specific strategy to achieve a new result. So we have to change the way we think about this. In order to do that, start by writing down your goals. What is your real goal? What is it that you hope to achieve? What is this new behavior you want to be doing? What's this new habit you want to form? How can you be more constructive and more positive in the way that you're treating yourself and the way that you're behaving in your life? So write down one very specific goal. Next, you need to look at the triggers, the certain situations that you find yourself in that trigger the old behavior or the old habit, and make a list of those so that you can recognize them when they start happening for you. When you see these triggers coming in your life, you want to know that you have already made this conscious decision that you want to change. So it helps to do this before you're actually triggered by whatever the triggers are. So you want to write that down too. What is your conscious decision about this behavior? So whenever you're triggered, you start doing this thing that you don't want to be doing, and start to tell yourself why you don't want to be doing that. What's your decision? What's your new commitment? Commit to that seriously so that when your triggers show up, you start to practice this conscious decision. Next step is you need to seek the pleasure from the reward that you have put in place when you do the new habit or the new behavior. So you want to write down certain things that you can do for yourself or you can give to yourself, certain experiences, maybe certain gifts, maybe certain moments you can share with yourself, or maybe even something you can buy yourself that will actually signify that you have achieved a whole new habit. And each time you're triggered and you look for the pleasure of this new reward that you're giving yourself, in your mind you think about the fact that you will one day have this thing that you've promised yourself, or on the weekend you're going to go off for that cappuccino by the sea if you don't do the old habit. And in order to remotivate yourself to actually take on the new habit, you think about that reward and then you must give it to yourself. So you want to be seeking the pleasure from the reward, which is a healthy reward, and think about that when you are about to commit the old habit. And this is where you start to actually practice the next step, which is now the new pathway. Once you've sought out this reward you're going to give yourself, you look for this new habit and you start to practice this new habit every time your triggers are coming up. And every time you do, you give yourself the reward that you've committed to. Now, be clever about this. Don't give yourself a really big reward every single time, because it'll be very hard for you to maintain that. Rather, try if you can to give small little rewards, maybe 7 of them. And then every time you've done 7, give yourself something really big. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you want to quit smoking, and every time you choose not to have the cigarette and you think about how wonderful it is to actually feel your lungs when you go off to a yoga class, or to be able to do a very nice long stretch run around the block in the morning, and you feel this great vitality that comes into your body afterwards. Every time you take yourself for a run or a walk without smoking that cigarette, you can give yourself a reward, something you really like, something you really enjoy. Maybe you give yourself a little bit of extra time with your kids, or maybe you take yourself off for a cappuccino by the sea. And then 7 times that you've done that, you want to give yourself the big reward. Let's say after 7 times of going for a run, instead of having that cigarette, you take yourself out for lunch. I really wish you the best with this, and thank you so much for watching. Try and catch the other neuroplasticity videos, which will tell you more ways to work with your brain to increase your intelligence and to actually increase your vitality and joy in your life. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.